Thanks, Cole. Now, we're used to seeing those bridges with locks for love in Paris.
Yep.
We obviously know what Iowa City loves, the bars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And me too, Cole. I see those all the time. Last weekend, when I didn't report the game, I saw those on my way over to Kinnick.
Yeah.
I had to laugh.
So funny. Well, I can't believe we are already in week 3 of the football season.
Me either. And with one more non-conference game left for Iowa, North Dakota State will not be an easy task.
The #1 ranked team in the FCS poses a Big Ten-like feel to them, a strong and hard defense with some offensive flash.
That's right. But the players know what they're up against, and they're ready for this challenge. I tell you more. North Dakota State is coming to Kinnick on Saturday, and even with a 2-0 start on the season, the Iowa football team is not taking them lightly.
This will be an excellent test for us. We got to make sure that we are preparing each day in practice in the film room, and that we're going out there and executing, and we're not taking these guys lightly, because obviously they can come in and they could beat us in our home stadium, and you obviously don't want that.
And let's not forget, North Dakota State is a 5-time FCS champion. So what can Iowa expect to see on Saturday?
And they got good players. They're really well coached, and they play hard. They play physical. To me, their style of football reminds me of the last 2 teams we played at the end of the season last year, Stanford, Michigan State. So it's a different kind of challenge for us.
And how exactly are they going to overcome this challenge?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to trick those guys, but as long as we focus on what we can do as a team and block and run hard and complete and run routes well, we give ourselves the best chance to win.
Can't make any mistakes, can't give up no big plays on defense. Offense got to convert the 3rd downs and make touchdowns. I feel like, like I said, they're going to come ready to play, and we just got to be on our A game.
We are now joined by Blake Dowson, a Daily Iowan football reporter on the print sign. Thanks for joining us, Blake. First, let's start with the schedule. Last year, it was talked heavily about how little competition there was. As far as this year, how do you feel about Iowa's schedule?
It's not where it needs to be. Playing Miami, Ohio, Iowa State, and North Dakota State in the non-conference, it's not going to impress any selection committees. But that being said, I think the Hawkeyes are close to scheduling one of those big-time neutral site games.
Agreed.
With a team like Arkansas, I think makes sense. You have the connection with Brett Bielema, obviously. He used to play here. And I think geographically that makes sense, too. If you put the game in Kansas City or St. Louis, that would be somewhere in between. I think that's close to happening.
I completely agree. So now we switch to Indy SU. They come in, obviously, as #1 in the FCS. What do you see from them that might pose a threat to Iowa, either offensively or defensively?
Well, I think first, they're just a good football team. It doesn't matter if they're in the FCS or FBS. They're a good football team. You put them in a Power 5 conference, they're going to win a lot of games. In fact, they've won 5 straight against those FBS teams, which would rank the 5th longest winning streak in the country. Offensively, they do a lot of the same things Iowa does. They play with fullbacks, they play with a lot of offensive linemen, and they just want to beat you in the trenches. They want to push you off the line and gain a lot of yards on the ground. Defensively, they're a lot like the Hawkeyes too. They run a lot of sets, and they don't really have a star. They have a lot of guys that never mess up on their assignments, and they're always in the right spot. They're extremely well coached.
There are also a couple of Iowa players on that team too that we'll see on Saturday. So we saw the defense improve from week 1 to week 2, especially against Iowa State. And we now see Anthony Nelson sitting at #2 in the country with 3.5 sacks. What have you seen from the redshirt freshman and then Iowa's defense as a whole as they continue to improve?
Yeah, well, he's got the look, doesn't he? He's 6'7". He's got a huge frame, the right frame for a defensive end. The biggest thing from him is his motor. He just never stops. And that's what you like to see from a freshman like that. But he's still super raw, too. Up until his senior year of high school, he didn't know whether he wanted to play football or basketball in college. It looks now like he made the right decision.
Totally.
But he never stops. His motor, and he plays with tremendous leverage, too, for how big he is. For the rest of the defense, it was obvious against Iowa State they were happy to have Josie Jewell back. He's the signal caller. He gets everyone in the right spot. And having him on the field is obviously a huge boost. Another linebacker, Ben Neiman, is also huge. His versatility on the field, he can line up on the line of scrimmage and play with a lot of physicality, and he can also pick up a back out of the backfield, cover them out in the flat. He's really important to that defense.
Thanks for that, Blake. Keep updated throughout the game tomorrow on Blake's Twitter page at BR Dowson.
And for more of a closer look at the numbers we see from North Dakota State, Taylor hashes them out for us.
With the last non-conference game on the schedule for Iowa, it has been nothing but pure dominance. But for North Dakota State, they are coming off 2 overtime wins against Charleston Southern and Eastern Washington, proving they have a fight within them.
We watch those games and you can just tell even at the end of the game they're not panicking or anything. They're well executed and know how to win games.
North Dakota State saw their quarterback Carson Wentz injured last season, but they also saw him go 2nd overall in the NFL draft, making redshirt sophomore Easton Stick step up.
And the thing is, he's not a new guy. He played 8 games when Wentz was out last year, so he has experience. And yeah, like you said, he can move around and he can also throw it, so we're going to have to be ready for that.
He's a great runner, and he also knows when to throw it. So we got to be ready for that. We got to have somebody on him the whole time, and also have good coverage the whole day.
Quarterback, he's a very, very talented player. I feel like he's a dual threat in the backfield, and he will throw up some shots when needed.
Sticking with the offense, Iowa's defense will have their hands full with running back Lance Dunn. The sophomore is coming off all career highs with 128 yards and 2 touchdowns.
They like to run the ball downhill, a lot of shifts, motions, trades, all that. So we're going to have to be able to get it lined up and communicate well this game.
As far as their defense, they are fundamentally sound as they are led by middle linebacker Nick DeLuca.
Defensively, they play a lot like we do. They're very fundamental. They're very stout. They play well. They don't make many mistakes. So that's one of the big keys. The game is trying to make sure we don't make any mistakes either and see who can come out on top.
They're a really sound defense. They don't do anything overly stupid. They play good, upfield. They play blocks and they play good defense. They're well coached, and you can see that on film.
Jalil Johnson spoke about how important it is ending a non-conference play on a high note as they are just about to start their Big Ten Conference play next weekend at Rutgers.
That's right. Taking a quick look at injuries, it's looking like Parker Hesse will get some reps in at defensive end this week. He did not play at all last weekend.
And neither did center James Daniels. We don't see him on the depth chart at all, and I don't expect to see him play.
You can catch the game on ESPN2 tomorrow at 11 a.m. Then catch us afterwards going live on our Facebook page.
Don't forget that field hockey is home this weekend as well. Also, volleyball and soccer is too. So meet us back here Monday morning for the weekend rundown. Cole, back to you.